Hi, this is Kathy from Lady Stamp-A-Lot. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Chesapeake, Virginia, and today I'm going to show you how to make these cards, which I call the fancy front cards. They have this little opening right here. And these cards use the stamp set Magnolia Blooms. And this stamp set is not found in any Stampin' Up! Catalog. It's from a brochure called Experience Creativity, and it's designed for beginners. So it's a little bit of a smaller stamp set, but it's a perfect one for beginners, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make these cards. So first of all, you're going to start with a sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. I'm going to hold the cardstock the long ways. This is the 8.5 inch side down here. And I'm going to cut the paper at 6 1/2 inches. So on the trimmer, the black knob is for cutting. So that's 6 1/2 inches. And then I'm going to slide it over to 4 1/4. And I am going to score it. Okay, and now we're going to turn, and we're just going to cut the paper in half. So now this is the 11 inch side, and I'm going to go to 5 1/2 and cut. Okay, so this gives you 2 cards that are already scored. So you can make 2 cards from this sheet of paper, and there's very little waste. Now with the piece that you cut off at the beginning, you're going to cut that at 1 1/4 inches. And then you're going to turn, no, this piece is all that you don't use. You don't need that, but you can use that for something else later. So turn this and cut it at 5 1/2. And this is going to be enough for you to make 2 cards with a few other pieces. Okay, so you're also going to need some designer series paper. And for these cards, I'm using the Magnolia Lane paper from Stampin' Up. This is in the annual catalog, 1919 to 1920 catalog. And then here's the back sides. You always get so many options with paper with the double sides from Stampin' Up. And some of these are nice for masculine cards as well. Okay, so I used that paper. And you're going to cut these 2 pieces 5 1/4 by 1 7/8, and this one's 5 1/4 by 1. And these are going to go on. Let's go ahead and glue them right to the card. So here's the card that I cut and scored. And you want to look at your paper. The card's going to be going this way. You want to look to see the pattern to see which way you think it should go. And I think this could really go either way, but I'm going to put it like this. So I'm going to use snail adhesive and just run it along both sides and put it on this flap. You want to center it so there's a nice even border. This is petal pink cardstock, so you want a nice even border around the outside. And then this piece is going to go at the bottom, and we'll just adhere that down. Again, leaving a even border. All right. Now on the inside, you're going to need a piece of white. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and I stamped a little bit on the inside because my new mantra for 2020 is to stamp on the insides of all my cards and to stamp on the envelopes. So because this card has a lot of a space showing, I didn't want to have it going in that area where the peekaboo part of the card is, so I just have it right down there in the corner. So that's the center of the card. Okay, now the other pieces you'll need for this card are another piece of white, 3 3/8 by 2 5/8, then Mossy Meadow, 3 1/2 by 2 3/4, and Petal Pink, 3 5/8 by 2 7/8. I'll have these on my blog so you can get those measurements. It's basically starting with whatever size you want, and then I just added 1/8 of an inch to give a little border around the outside. So because this is a photopolymer stamp set, I am using my paper piercing mat underneath. I'm going to get my Memento ink, which you must use because I'm going to color the image with blends. So no matter what, where's my stamp set? Okay, here's the set. So it has thank you, happy birthday, and there's also this congratulations on there. And the two cards I made, one was happy birthday, one was thank you. And I think I'm going to make another happy birthday card. So I'm just going to stamp happy birthday down here in the corner. And you want to get it in the corner pretty low and pretty far to the right so that you have room for that flower. Here's the flower. And with stamps this size, I usually like to go tap the ink onto the stamp versus the stamp onto the ink. I think it gets a little bit better coverage. I'm going to do a little bit more. And then what I did was I looked at where the two leaves are, and I put that up in the corner and kind of wrapped these around the happy birthday and stamped. I'm going to press and give it a time for the ink to come off. You don't want to pop it up right away. All right, there it is. And then to save time, I have one here that I already colored. So I'm just going to use this one to finish the card. So I am going to layer this onto Mossy Meadow. And for this part of the card, I like to use my liquid Tombow glue. This gives you time to move it around and put it exactly where you want it. Versus when you put it down with snail, it pretty much is where it's going to be. Now, don't use a lot of this glue. You don't want to squish out everywhere. Dot, dot, not a lot, like we say in preschool. Okay, so this is going to go on like this. And you can see this is how I can sort of slide it around because there's a very, oops, move this out of the way so you can see. There's a very small border around that. And then we're going to put this onto the pink. Again, you don't need a lot to get it to stay. And then this goes on here. And again, it gives you time to slide it around so you get a nice border all the way around the outside. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this over here. And you want to line the bottom of this strip up at the bottom of your card. And then, oh, you know what? I forgot the dimensionals. Sorry. Okay, so here's your piece. Let's put some dimensionals on here. Now, because it's not much space down here at the bottom, you'll want to put your dimensionals pretty close to the bottom of this piece. Okay, that's the bottom. And then the top, it doesn't matter as much. So sometimes I'll put it down just a little bit further. You don't want any in here because that will be where this peekaboo part is, and you don't want it stuck down there. Okay, so get these pieces off the dimensionals. Remember, we put our fingernail down in there to try to get them off easier. Okay, now, okay, so let's line this up again here, the bottom and the sides. You're going to close your card top, and then you're going to take this piece, and you want to make sure that your dimensionals touch onto here and onto here. And I just kind of eyeball it top to bottom, left to right. Your dimensionals are up here and they're down here so that it doesn't stick to this part here. How easy was that, right? Super easy. And then the last thing is, remember I said no naked envelopes. So I went ahead and stamped on the envelope, and I will go ahead and color this later, but I just wanted to give you my suggestion that if you do color with blends, I stick in a piece of cardstock in the envelope, because blends will bleed through and you don't want any bleeding on the back here. So if you stick that in there and color this, then when you pull it out, you'll have a really pretty envelope, and it won't be all messy. So there you go, super simple Magnolia Blooms, and I did color them with the blends. Petal Pink, I used Old Olive. The colors really are Mossy Meadow. You can use whatever you like. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you'll try this card. I do have this as my February 2020 class to go. So look on my blog for that information. Consider making a purchase all bundled together and make these cards yourself. Thanks for stopping by.